One of the characters I played the most when I first started playing Genshin was Klee. I found the concept of her character story to be fairly comedic, and some of the stuff she's done to that is insane. Pretty sure outside of the Archons, she's one of the only people who's significantly changed Teyvat's landscape. I felt like revisiting Klee and her unique playstyle for nostalgia purposes, so let's get into it. One of the main aspects that drew me into Klee's kit is how many different animation cancels she has to optimize her damage. You have N1 walk cancel, you have N2 jump cancel, and then you have to weave in charge attacks into your combos as well because of how her passives work. So N1C and N2C, and then dashing or jumping after. On top of all of this, there are also skill cancels you can do. As a result, it makes playing her complex. The main cancels I use are N1 charge attack and N2 jump cancel, since those are the ones I am overall the most familiar with. Gotta say though, I'm extremely rusty. Do forgive some of the gameplay shown. I also didn't really have as much time to practice my animation cancels due to, well, practicing Dragon Strike on Traveler. Before moving forward, I did want to discuss some interesting aspects of canceling Klee's skill. Now, before in basically 1.0 era of patches, you were able to spam the skill button and the game would count it as multiple skills used despite only one bomb being launched. This was particularly useful for Klee to get the maximum amount of stacks on Crimson Witch, and keep the bonus through multiple rotations. However, this was patched in 2 point something. I don't know the specific patch, you could probably look it up and find it, but I don't remember off the top of my head. However, there is a way to cancel Klee's skill and trick the game into thinking it was used still. If you use her skill, and then immediately trigger her burst afterward, the game thinks that you use the skill as indicated by the increased bonus damage resulting from Crimson Witch. Unfortunately, this trick isn't as good as the skill spam one. Due to Klee's skill cooldown being 20 seconds, it isn't possible to maintain 3 stacks of Crimson Witch across multiple rotations, as the stacks expire within 10 seconds. However, this trick is useful when using Miko's signature weapon on Klee. Kagura's Verity has a longer stack uptime than Crimson Witch does, making it so that this trick is useful for not only getting max stacks on the weapon, but also maintaining it across multiple rotations. You can get the stack started by first pressing the skill button, canceling the skill immediately with her burst, and then using the skill button again, getting 2 stacks. Once the cooldown on Klee's skill is less than 16 seconds, you can then throw the second skill, though I wait a bit longer than that to give myself some more breathing room with regards to timing. This isn't to say that Crimson Witch is actually bad on Klee. You can still get 2 stacks consistently across multiple rotations by doing this skill burst canceling, but you won't be able to get the maximum 3 stacks. Now, despite the amount of effort I am spending here to use Kagura's Verity, Klee really doesn't need a 5-star weapon to function. R5 Whipseth can outpace most 5-star Catalysts at R1, though there is some RNG to this due to how Whipseth's passive functions. Moving on to team building, the way Klee's damage works makes it so that vaporizing her damage isn't as beneficial as it may seem. The issue lies in how Klee's damage is split. You're using a combination of her normal attacks and charge attacks, her skill, and her burst, all of which deal a considerable amount of damage, and are made up of low damage and fast hits overall. Vaporizing would realistically only benefit a portion of her kit, and so it's much more efficient to benefit her entire kit rather than focus on vaporizing one aspect of it. If you've watched anything regarding Klee in, say, the last year or so, Furina happens to be one of her best synergies. This is because Klee has a significant amount of pyro application, enough to ensure that all of Furina's skill damage can proc vaporize, while Furina herself provides damage bonuses for the whole team, which also increases Klee's overall damage. There are some variations to the other 2 members of the team comp for this particular core, but suffice it to say they play off each other fairly well. So by this you would assume that I would pair Klee with Furina, but then I thought Klee's whole shtick is exploding things, right? So why not do a comp that encourages more explosions? And so I did a team focusing on Overload. Obviously, I would need Chevreuse for that. As for the other 2 members, I decided to spec in Fischl and Pyro MC. Fischl is pretty much a staple for Overload teams, and I wanted to try some Pyro MC supports with Scroll. Quickly going over builds, I put Klee on 4-piece Wanderer's Troop. It works well for her kit overall, plus some additional EM to increase any potential overload damage she triggers. 4-piece Crimson Witch would have been fine here too, but my Crimson Witch artifacts are of a lower quality than my Wanderer ones, so I decided to just use those instead. I mentioned the weapon earlier, being Kagura's Verity. It would require a specific rotation pattern, but that's completely fine. As for Fischl, it's the same build I've been using consistently, 4-piece Golden Troop and Skyward Harp. Pyro MC is on a 5-sword plus 4-piece scroll for the 40% damage buff from the artifact set. It is unfortunate that the 2-piece effect is useless on Pyro MC without another Natlan character in the party, because Pyro MC can't proc the Night Soul Burst effect, but it is what it is. Finally, Chev is on a 4-piece Noblesse build with Favlance. And that rounds up the entire build. This time I'm going to have to skip out on the full rotation explanation. I do want to save some more examples for the rotation mechanics video I intend on uploading soon-ish. With that, it's Abyss time. I did this on the last Abyss, again due to lack of time, though to be fair, the current Abyss seems to be at least overall easier than past ones. So maybe this is better to showcase the overall capabilities of this team. Anyways, enjoy! And here are the builds I used. Klee Overload cleared pretty quickly on the second half. I mean, given the amount of pyro hits she produces, Papilia shields were shredded pretty quickly. I suspect if the devs go down the route of making more shields that require larger and larger hit counts to break, Klee will be fairly viable as an option to counter them. That aside, I hope you enjoyed the video, and see you next time.